In the gun world, there are some calibers that make sense: practical, reliable, affordable, and purpose-driven. And then, there are the ones we're talking about today. These are the rounds that scream overcompensation, poor judgment, or just plain ignorance. Whether it's insane recoil, laughable ballistics, ridiculous price tags, or just being wildly impractical for anything outside a video game, these calibers are the kind that make seasoned shooters roll their eyes and quietly step away. This list isn't about personal preference or niche applications, it's about the rounds people pick thinking they're being tactical geniuses, when in reality, they're just making noise, burning cash, and proving they read more forums than field manuals. So buckle up, because we're diving into the top 5 calibers only idiots use, the rounds that should come with a warning label, chosen by people who don't know better. And if one of your favorites shows up here, hey, don't get mad, just listen close. You might learn something, or at least get a good laugh. Let's get into it. Number 5.256 Remington, the Fading Star. Once considered a top-tier choice for medium game hunting, the .25-6 Remington has slowly drifted into obscurity. Originally a Wildcat cartridge based on the .36 Springfield case necked down to .25 caliber, it officially entered the scene in 1969 when Remington gave it factory backing. Back then, it was praised for its flat trajectory, low recoil, and impressive speed, especially for long-range shots on deer, antelope, and coyotes. For a while, it had a loyal following. But in today's world, the .25-6 feels like a relic. Modern calibers like the 6.5 Creedmoor and .243 Winchester offer similar or better ballistics with more efficient case designs and wider ammo availability. The .25-6 burns a lot of powder, produces unnecessary barrel wear, and ammo can be both pricey and hard to find. It's not bad, just outclassed. The real issue? There's no standout reason to choose it anymore. It doesn't outperform its modern rivals in any meaningful category. Unless you're nostalgic or already own a rifle chambered for it, there's little incentive to join the .25-6 club today. Sadly, this former hunting darling is fading fast, a star dimming in the light of better, newer options. Number 4.32 Winchester Special, the Forgotten Middle Child. The .32 Winchester Special is one of those cartridges that makes you wonder, why did this ever exist? Introduced in 1901 by Winchester, it was meant to offer something special, a step up from the .30 Winchester in power, without jumping all the way to the .35 Remington. But in trying to be the best of both worlds, it ended up stuck in no man's land. Ballistically, the .32 Win Special doesn't offer a huge improvement over the .30, and in most cases, it actually falls short in bullet selection and availability. Ammunition is harder to find, more expensive when you do find it, and modern manufacturers rarely prioritize it. To make things more awkward, it was originally marketed toward handloaders who wanted to shoot cast bullets, but that niche appeal hasn't aged well. The real issue is redundancy. Everything the .32 Win Special claims to do, the .30 already does, and does better, more efficiently, and with way more support. Unless you inherited a classic lever action chambered in .32 Win Special, there's no logical reason to go out of your way for it today. It's a cartridge caught in the past, with little relevance in the modern shooting world. Number 3 7mm8 Remington, the caliber that tries too hard. The 7mm8 Remington has always seemed like it's trying to be the perfect middle ground, a balance between power, recoil, and performance. Introduced in the early 1980s, it's essentially a .308 Winchester case necked down to take a 7mm bullet. On paper, it sounds great: flat trajectory, manageable recoil, and solid terminal ballistics. But in practice, it's a solution to a problem that didn't really exist. The 7mm8 lives in a weird limbo. It's not quite as versatile or widely available as the .308, and it's constantly overshadowed by the newer, trendier 6.5 Creedmoor. Ammo selection is limited, and when you can find it, the price tag makes you wonder why you didn't just stick with something more common. For reloaders, it has some appeal, but for the average shooter, there's no standout reason to choose it. It's not that the 7mm8 is bad, it's just unnecessary. It tries to be a jack of all trades but ends up being a master of none. If you already have one, sure, it'll get the job done. But if you're in the market for a new rifle, there are better, more practical, and more supported calibers out there. Number 2.41 Magnum, the caliber nobody asked for. The 41 Magnum is one of those cartridges that had big dreams but never found its audience. Introduced by Remington in the 1960s, it was meant to bridge the gap between the 357 Magnum and the 44 Magnum, offering more power than the 357 without the wrist-snapping recoil of the 44. Sounds great in theory, right? The problem is, almost nobody actually needed or asked for that middle ground. Law enforcement was one of the original target markets, but the recoil was still too stout for most officers to handle effectively in the field. Meanwhile, hunters and Magnum revolver fans already had a deep love affair with the 44 Magnum and saw no reason to switch. As a result, the 41 Magnum ended up with an identity crisis, not quite enough for heavy-duty handgun hunting, and too much for practical defense. To make matters worse, ammo availability has always been spotty, and factory loads tend to be limited and overpriced. Unless you're a reloader or a dedicated wheel gun enthusiast looking to be different for the sake of it, there's no compelling reason to own one. The 41 Magnum isn't terrible, it's just forgotten, unnecessary, and hanging on by a nostalgic thread. Number 1.300 Savage, the obsolete oddball. Back in its prime, the 300 Savage was a serious contender. Introduced in 1920 by Savage Arms, it was designed to bring near 36 performance to a shorter case, making it ideal for compact lever-action rifles like the iconic Savage Model 99. At the time, it was revolutionary, delivering solid ballistics with a manageable recoil impulse. But that was over a century ago, and in today's world, the 300 Savage is all but forgotten. The problem? It's been completely outclassed. The 308 Winchester came along in the 1950s and did everything the 300 Savage did but better. Faster, more accurate, more efficient, and widely adopted by both military and civilian shooters, the 308 left the 300 Savage in the dust. Today, finding factory ammo for the 300 Savage can feel like digging through a time capsule, and if you're not a handloader, good luck keeping it fed. There's nothing particularly wrong with the 300 Savage, it's just outdated. It had its moment in the spotlight, but that moment ended decades ago. Unless you're into vintage rifles or nostalgia for old-school cartridges, there's no real reason to pick one up now. It's the oddball that history quietly moved past.